Another Stamp with Amy K YouTube live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a card with the cute flower cart stamp set bundle from Stampin' Up's current January to April 2024 mini catalog. And it's just a fun little bundle, and it creates, sorry, I'm going to move my camera over just a smidge here, hopefully not make you too dizzy, but all right, I think that looks a little bit better. So it's a cute little bundle that's I don't know, it's got just some fun. You can create a kind of a little scene with it that's got lots of good sentiments in it. So I just created a little flower cart scene with a happy hello on it. And yeah, so this is a card we're going to be making today. And I do love the little scene cards, the ones that have all the little scene die sets, I should say, that have all the little dies that coordinate with them. I just think they're fun to build and fun to use, and love that you can stamp everything in different colors and die cut it. And even though it does take a minute extra time, I think it's worth it. So hey, Quinn and Danette and Pam and Carol and Judy and Karen and Stephanie, thanks everybody for hopping in and joining me today. So this is the stamp set, and it's a cute little one. Hey, Mary Ruth, thanks for joining as well. Again, like I said, it's got some good kind of just general sentiments. Love that it has a Mother's Day sentiment in it as well. There's a birthday one, lovely day, which is, you know, just a general, and there's the happy hello that we're using today, and there's a friendship one. So it's just a cute little dice or stamp and die set. And then these are the two-step stamped images, so these two will coordinate. So we've got the kind of greenery and inside, and then greenery is this one, and then the flowers, not inside, the flower pieces that go with it. The little flower cart images, actually, there are a couple different ways that you can use them. So you can actually stamp and die cut these with the dies here, the open dies, or you can just die cut pieces, which I'll show you today. That's what I did, is I actually used the dies here and just created a little cart with those instead. So again, it's a sweet little set. It's bundled together to save 10% during while the catalog is going on, which goes through the end of April, I think. The last day of April is when this catalog ends. So bundle pricing on that one, which will save you 10% if you get them together. All right, couple other things that I used on this is I did use the perennial postage dies, and I used the second largest of the rectangles, and that's what I used to cut out my little background piece on here. And you probably may not have noticed it when I initially did it, but you know, that's what I used and cut two pieces of designer paper with the cute little dies. And yeah, and then also use the Timber 3D embossing folder on the background. So again, hopefully you can see that on the pecan pie background piece here. I did emboss it. I've tried to get the lighting so you can hopefully see it with the Timber 3D embossing folder. All right. A couple other things. We've got Celebration going on right now. So for every $50 in product that you order from Stampin' Up! During Celebration, which runs through the end of February, so the 29th, you get to pick something free from this catalog. So there are a couple packs of designer series paper, there are some stamp sets, there's ribbon, there are gems, so lots to pick from at the $50 level. And then if you do a $100 level order, you can either pick two of the $50 level items, or there are a couple of $100 level items. So there is a die set in here that coordinates with one of the $50 level free stamp sets. So this is a $100 level item. And then there's a bundle that has an embossing folder and a stamp set in it. And then the detailed dogwood stamp set, which is beautiful. So again, these are all $100 level items. And then you may notice underneath me, there's the little glass mat, and that is what you can get for free if you join during Celebration. That's one of the options for a starter kit, is you can get this awesome glass mat studio, which includes a little cleaning cloth for it, as well as the actual glass mat, and then a little silicone mat to go with it that you can use for to hold your items, do some technique things with, whatever. So the starter kit during Celebration, it's $99. Kit ships for free. Yay. You get to pick $125 worth of Stampin' Up! Merchandise, and then you can choose to get this glass mat for free. Otherwise, the second option is, if you don't have an interest in the glass mat, and not everybody does, there's also a great bonus. So again, it's $99 for your starter kit, ships for free, and you get to pick $155. So it's 30 extra free dollars in Stampin' Up! Merchandise that you can get if you join during Celebration. So we'd love to have you come join our team. We're a very relaxed group. We just love Stampin' Up! If you're a business builder, we've got some of those. If you're a person who's just buying for yourself, we got lots of those too. So come join us. We'd love to have you. So, all right. And I see Christine is here, and Robin, and Sandra, and Karen, and Sally. Everybody, thanks for joining. Okay, one last thing. Online exclusives. When you're out there placing your orders, getting your celebration items, earning those for free, don't forget to check out the online exclusives. There is a separate section of the online store. Go into the menu and then find online exclusives, and there are all items that are not in any catalog, not tied to any catalog, so they kind of come and go. But yeah, definitely go check those out. Don't forget to take a peek at those. All right. Let me know if you have questions about any of that. Again, questions about joining, we'd love to have you come join us. All right, let's get going. So we have got a pecan pie card base, and this one is cut to 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4 down the middle. So it's a half sheet of your standard 5.5 by 8, or 8.5 by 11 cardstock, which is your standard issue cardstock pack. So it's just a half a sheet of that. And then I went ahead of time. Is that, yeah, Office of Redundancy, Department of Redundancy Department. So using a little liquid glue here, and ahead of time I embossed a piece of pecan pie cardstock that measures card front size, so it's 5.5 by 4 1/4, and embossed it with the Timber 3D embossing folder. And I'm just going to use a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue to adhere that to the card front. And if I have cut everything to the right size, these should match up, and it should completely cover the card front. So I'm going to hold it up here, just make sure I've got everything on here straight and the way I want it to be. The dog is over here next to me. She's, of course, scratching and jangling her little her collar right now. All right. Then I've got a piece of Glorious Gingham Designer Series paper, and this is cut to about 1 1/4 by about 5.5 inches wide. So, oh, you're not late at all, Roxanne. We are just barely getting started. So again, Glorious Gingham Designer Series paper, 1 1/4 by about 5.5 inches wide, and we're going to stick that right to the bottom of the card front with a little bit of Stampin' Seal. And stick a little bit of that on over here. And I'm going to turn my card base so that hopefully I'm on screen and I can see it and you can see it. And we're just going to line up the little piece of Designer Series paper with the edges and the bottom of my card base. And then I'm just going to smoosh it down here and make sure it's stuck down well. If you're a liquid glue person and like that, you can certainly use liquid glue. I am not. We've had lots of discussions about this, and I know some of you love it. I'm just not one of those. So, oh, thanks, Roxanne. I appreciate that. So, all right. And I must have missed Ginny. So, all right. So, sorry, Karen. I don't know. Oh, Ginny, the dog, Ginny. I'm like, who's Ginny? Oh, okay. Now that I said her name, now she's over here. She's wanting me to pet her while I'm live. So that'll go well. Gosh. So, all right, back to what I'm supposed to be doing. Linen thread, I'm wrapping around the card front twice, and just going to snip that off here. And I'm going to tie a bow. Now, of course, she's all riled up and walking around and shaking and, the whole 9 yards. So, sort of like she does when you show up here, Karen. So, I've got my linen thread. I'm going to tie a bow way over on the left-hand side. When I tie my bows with linen thread, I usually start with a knot first because that kind of holds everything in place for me. Then I can maneuver it around a little bit and make sure everything's where I want it to be. And then I can make the pretty bow with it. And nobody can tell that there's a knot under there. It works well for the thinner, like linen thread and that sort of thing, baker's twine. You can do it with ribbons. A lot of times they're too thick to tie the knot with, so doesn't always work, but I do use it when I can for these types of things. And these are way too long, so I'm going to snip those off. All right, and they probably are still too long, but I'll snip a little more later if I feel like we need it. So, we're a Night of Navy. Well, it's probably closer to blueberry. Well, yeah, this is probably Night of Navy blueberry bushel. You're right. I don't know. It was just a shirt I hadn't worn in a little while, so I figured I'd put it on. All right. So I did some die cutting ahead of time. This is a piece of Flight and Airy Designer Series paper, and this is one of those free items, again, from the Celebration catalog. The flip side of it has these cute little birds on it, and it's hard for me to glue it down, but I didn't really want birds in the background of my card today, so I went with the blue instead. So, and I've got a piece of boho blue cardstock that we're going to be sticking this to. The boho blue cardstock is cut to about 3 1/8 by 4 5/8 inches, and all the details for this card will be on my blog tomorrow. So trust what's written on my blog and not what I say, because sometimes I, get to yakking and then the numbers don't come out right, but it should be correct. I think it's 3 3 3/8 by 4 5/8 should be size on that. And again, this was cut with the second largest of the perennial postage die. So it was cut with this, the one that's here in this die set. So just use that to cut a piece of designer series paper. This is also from that Flight and Airy designer series paper, and it's a little bit of pecan pie on there. And this started out, I cut about, I don't know, probably 3/4 of an inch off of the piece of designer series paper, and then I cut just the edge of it with the same die that I used to cut this panel with, just to give it a little bit of something. What I wanted it to look like was there was something on that the cart was sitting on, and it wasn't just floating in midair. So that was my reason. Whether it makes sense or not, I don't know, but that was my reason for putting the little bit of designer series paper underneath it. And we're just using a little Stampin' seal to adhere this piece of designer series paper to the piece that's on my boho blue cardstock. Just lining up the little scalloped edges in here, which that makes it really easy to do. Again, you can use liquid glue if you prefer, but I like Stampin' Seal because it's way less messy for me. All right, then we're going to grab some of my half Stampin' dimensionals, and I do chop mine in half, and yeah, because I like the way they fit better most places. We have this discussion a lot. If you like the whole ones, you are certainly welcome to use the whole ones. You don't have to do what I do. That's the bonus of Stampin', is we all get to make our own stuff. So, all right, and I'm going to take that and flip it over here, and then I'm going to lift up my bow and tuck the designer series paper panel here on the card front and try to get it lined up straight and centered. And the gingham makes it easier to put things on straight, but also it makes it more obvious when it's not. So, so yeah, it's good and bad. All right, so there we go. Got that stuck to the card front. Next thing is I've done some die cutting ahead, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but we're going to go ahead and do the stamping and die cutting part. When I'm doing these two-step stamped images, I generally find that whatever the color is, that's the darker color, that is the one that I stamp first. So in this case, the Granny Apple Green is darker than the Bubble Bath. I just find it easier to line up if I stamp the darker image first. It may work better for you the other way around, but that's just personally how I do it. So if you're struggling, try it that way around, because like I said, I find it easier to look through the clear stamp and see the darker images rather than the lighter ones, particularly like Bubble Bath and Lemon Lolly, which are two colors that I love and use all the time. I do struggle sometimes with this two-step stamping if I stamp those colors first. So I usually try to stamp the darker ones. So again, Granny Apple Green ink, and we are just inking up the greenery image, the larger one, in the flower cart stamp set, and stamping it on basic white cardstock. And then I've got the smaller greenery image, which is the one that goes with this little flower pot here. Same thing. Whoop, 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 whoop. Hold on. Good thing I had Miss Amy close by, because I just totally crashed into the camera. And yeah, I totally inked up the flowers instead of the greenery. Whoops, that would not have gone well. All right. So we've got the other smaller greenery image here that I've stamped again in Granny Apple Green. I'm going to set that one aside, and then we are going to grab the flowers, which those fit inside these images. And I've got my Bubble Bath ink. Hey, Daryl, thanks for hopping in. You got snow again? We did not today. It's rained kind of a tiny little bit, but we're supposed to get a bunch of rain starting, I think, tomorrow or Thursday. I can't remember which day it is. And so I think all our snow is going to be gone. All right, now as I say, it's easier to line up as I go to stamp this. Hopefully I'll get it lined up correctly. But like I said, I find it easier to be able to stamp the lighter images second, if that makes sense. All right, and then we've got this little greenery, or this little flower image. And that one, come on, Amy. I may have, I've got it turned completely upside down. I'm like, why is this not fitting right? Oh yeah, it helps when you put it the right way, the right side up. There we go. Stamping the little flower image over the top of that, and we're going to close up this ink pad. And grab, this is the little sign image, and then pecan pie ink for that one. And we're just going to ink that up and stamp it right over here. Okay, and then close that one up before I stick my fingers in that one too. And then the last color of ink that I used is boho blue, and I just did that so it kind of pulled in the background a little bit and coordinated the colors a little bit. And we got the one little flower pot that we're going to stamp in boho blue ink. We're just going to stamp that one up here. And then we've got the happy hello that fits on our little sign. And just kind of have to angle it just slightly and stamp it there on so that it looks like it's written on the sign. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my dies. And there's a sign, die sign, sign die, sign die. And then the little flower pot. And then this one matches the little flowers. And then this one matches the larger set of flowers. So I'm going to be off screen for a second. It may take me a crank or two to get this through the die cutting machine so that I hopefully don't chop anything off too strangely. So lots more snow. You know, school, man. Well, I'm a little jealous of the no school. Well, not really. I'm kind of always happy when the kids go to school. But snow days are kind of fun too. We'll see how many of these I can get through on one pass without feeling like I'm going to make a mess of it. All right, getting the last one lined up here. At least I think I am. One of them shifted up just a hair, so hold on. Oop, come on. All right, I think I got them all and got them cut out reasonably well. Probably not perfect, but good enough. There we go. Get these set aside before I lose track of all my dies. And that is what we've got for die cuts. All right, now we're going to start building our little cart, which is so cool. I love this little die set. So we've got this that I cut from pecan pie cardstock, and I used this one. So this is the it's a double die, actually. It cuts out the back as well as the front of the cart. And you can use them together or just use the little front of the cart. I chose to use them together just because there are little tiny peaks when I put the flowers in here that you could see the background of it. So I'm putting them together, if that makes sense. Hopefully it will in a second. Where's my green? Oh, I'm like, how did I lose my green glue already? So just on the wrong spot. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of green glue and we are going to put our multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm going to put it way down here at the bottom of this little cart. So again, this is the background piece, and then this is the one that's embossed and has a little handle on it. And I'm going to stick these two together and hopefully not stick my fingers to it. And you know what? I totally put that on the wrong side. Well, that's okay because we're going to need the glue. See, this is why liquid glue and I don't get along, because I should have just put it on here. But because I stick my fingers in it, so I started out with it on the wrong side. So we're going to stick it together on the bottom, and then I'm going to speedy fast slide this in here, in between. And I'm also going to leave just a little bit of the die cut flowers peeking out here. And then we're going to smush everything down. And I'll hold it up a little closer to the screen so that you can see it. It does look a little like the rustic crate die, but it's similar. Similar in that it cuts and embosses at the same time, and it's kind of a similar shape on that. But this one's got a lot more pieces that go with it. So what I've done is I've put the back piece and then glued the front to it, and then tucked the flowers in between the two. And it does hang over just a little bit on either side, and I thought it was kind of cute with the little extra flowers hanging out the front here. You don't have to put the flowers hanging out the front if you don't like that, or if it's too much work, you can certainly just tuck them all the way in and nobody will know the difference, but you know, you and me. So, all right, I'm gonna set this aside, and then ahead of time, I also did some die cutting. So this is the little, is it railing, fence? I don't know what it is, the little railing, I guess it would be. So that is this die from the Flower Cart Dies. Before I cut this, I did remember, thankfully, to put some adhesive sheets on the back of it. So that is already, I've already got those here and stuck on the back for my die cutting so that it would make it easier to adhere. And of course I used, it looks like a couple pieces of the adhesive sheets here, and it split right down the middle of my die cut, which is fine because then you just pick them off. I do oftentimes use, and I've got it sitting over here, my little tweezers to pull those off or to get those started. That helps a little bit. Some days my fingers don't work as well as others, so sometimes the adhesive sheets are a little easier to use if I have got my little tweezers, the pointy of my little tweezers, and I can use that, or you can use your take or pick tool as well. There again, just adhering those together to make our little flower cart. And then we're going to start, this is the little canopy, and again, there is a stamped canopy in the stamp set that you can stamp and die cut with this one, or you can use this little canopy that I have done here. So this is the die cut that I've used, and I cut it from Bubble Bath cardstock. And I'm sure you probably can't see it at all in the video, but there is a little embossing that is left from these little marks on here. So that shows me kind of where to put the other die cut piece, which is this one. It helps me to get those lined up and put on here. So, all right, let me scoot that aside and grab my liquid glue again. And this time I really am going to get my tweezers out. So again, I have die cut. I'm going to grab a hold of these with my tweezers so that hopefully I don't get my fingers gluey. So this is the die that I've used, and I've cut basic white cardstock with this die. And I'm just going to take these and adhere them to the little canopy and hopefully not get everything all gluey. So, and I do say hopefully because, like I said, liquid glue and we are not always friends. There we go. Just lining it up with the scallop at the bottom, and then at the top, you want it lined up here as well. And then I'm going to grab the second one here, do the same thing with that, just grabbing it with my little tweezers. If you have fingers that are not as fat as mine and don't end up with glue all over them, and you're better at using the glue, you don't have to use the tweezers. I just find it a little easier when I'm sticking pieces together like this that are smaller to have a tweezers. It's like an extra pair of fingers for me. So, all right, same thing, last one, going to glue that together here, a little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue down there, and then we're just going to stick that one over the final scallop here. And make sure it's lined up at the top and at the bottom. And that's all there is to it. So that's the little canopy, which again, you can get it a similar look by stamping it and die cutting it. But I liked just the die cutting because, you know, stamping and die cutting, that's an extra step, and I'm kind of lazy. So, all right. So I'm going to use a little Stampin' Seal on the back of here, and we're going to adhere that. I'm not going to stick it down like stick it down. I'm just going to kind of place it on the card front so that I can generally look at, okay, so here's where my flower cart's going to land, and make sure that the wheels are going to be actually on the part that I want to look like dirt. And it looks like if I stick my little canopy about where it is, maybe scoot it up just a hair, it should fit on here the way I want it to. All right, so we'll go ahead and stick that down. And then I'm going to take my little flower cart, and I'm actually only going to put adhesive up here towards the top, and I'll show you in a second why that is, because we've got to tuck some wheels down underneath it. So I'm going to take, again, you can use Stampin' Seal, you can use glue dots, whatever it is that you want to use. If you want to use liquid glue, you can do that as well. And again, I'm just going to kind of place this here where I think I want it to be, making sure that I've got the little poles for the canopy are generally in the same area as the edges of the cart. I mean, you probably wouldn't want it to be like that. So just to keep an eye, you know, pay a little bit of attention as to where the poles on the canopy are going to be in relation to where your little cart is. And I'm just going to lightly tack that down for now until I have everything put together, and then I'll do a good hard, smoosh on everything to make sure it's stuck down well. But again, I just want to make sure that everything is in the spot where I want it to be on the cart before I smash it down and then have everything stuck and then go, oh, that didn't quite work out like I wanted it to. All right, so I'm going to tuck this wheel up underneath here, and again, lightly tack it down. And then we've got my other wheel. And these are cut, I should have said that to begin with, these are cut from gold foil sheets. And again, I used the adhesive sheets on the back of them before I did the die cutting. I remembered to do that so that it would make it easier to stick them down. You can use liquid glue with these, but I find particularly with foil, for some reason, I end up with liquid glue like everywhere on the foil, and then it just makes a mess and it doesn't look very pretty and everything is gluey. And anyway, so yeah. So I try to remember, if I've got little pieces like this, to use the adhesive sheets to stick them down rather than using liquid glue. All right, and this is the little stand. And I guess I should show you all of these. So the wheels that I used, this is all one die cut, and it's 2 wheels, and then there's a little stand. So you can cut all these with one pass through the machine, and they make the little stand or base and wheels for your cart. So I'm going to take the wheel, or take the little base and tuck it up here underneath my cart. And again, just make sure that everything is in the place where I want it to be before I stick everything down. And this isn't quite as straight as I'd like it to be, so I'm going to tap it over with my scissors. And I think everything is looking like it's in about the spot I need or want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and smash down the flowers, and then smush down these little die cuts here as well that I've got the adhesive sheets on the back, and they're going to hold that in place. So we've got our little cart basically all done. All right, next thing is I've got to put my little flower pot and my sentiment sign together. Well, put them on the card front. They're already kind of together. So, oh, thanks, Melanie. I appreciate it. And thank you, Diane. I'm glad you're liking it. And Amanda, thanks so much. I haven't not been paying attention to the comments. I was busy trying not to mess anything up on the card front. So here's my little sign, and I've got my half Stampin' dimensionals that I'm going to stick on that. And I think we'll tuck the sign kind of in right about here. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Whoop, probably should go a little lower so that back leg is actually on what's supposed to be the ground. So take that, and then I've got, again, just my little flower pot here. I'm going to take one of my little Stampin' dimensionals and stick it there, and then one and stick it up a little bit higher on the back of the flowers, and I'll show you in a second why I did that. But I'm going to stick the flower pot on first, and again, make sure it's down here somewhere on what's supposed to be the ground. And then I put the dimensional up a little bit higher on here because these are going to overlap just slightly. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't have a dimensional stuck down here and then would end up with the flower pot looking all weird and bumpy and not the way I wanted it to look. So I'm just going to take that and we're going to layer it right over the top. And that's mostly done with the card front. So let me grab my gems here. These are the opaque faceted gems, and they are another one of the free items from Celebration that you can get with an order of $50 or greater. Again, until the end of February, you'll be able to get these pretty gems. And pecan pie is one of the colors in here, so I'm using one of the colors in the gems and one of the colors in my card is what I mean to say. So I'm going to grab a couple of the pecan pie gems here and stick them near my sentiment and move them around just a hair till, yeah, I think they look all right there. So we're going to call that good. And that's it for the card front. So like I said, it's quick and easy to use, easy stamping, and as long as you remember to use your adhesive sheets, you'll find these little kind of thinner pieces really easy to adhere. And if you forget to, it's okay. Like I said, you can put, if you don't like liquid glue, little glue dots right here in the center of the wheels would probably work. This one would probably be a little fiddly to stick down, but you definitely could do it with some liquid glue. So I recommend trying to remember to use your adhesive sheets, but if you forget, it's not the end of the world. You can still glue it together. So, all right, inside of the card, I kept pretty simple. I've got a piece of basic white cardstock and a little bit of the Glorious Gingham Designer Series paper that I have trimmed off from when I made my card front. And we're just going to stick these two together. This piece probably measures, I don't know, I think it's about 3/4 of an inch wide, and it's a little over 5.5 long, but I like to have it a little bit longer than or 5 1/4, I should say, a little bit longer than the card that I'm sticking it to, if I can do that, just because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room to make sure that I've got everything on here straight and that I have everything cut correctly, because sometimes I don't cut it perfectly, and then it's much easier to trim off any extra than it is to try to figure out how to cover up a spot where you missed a section of it. Trust me, I've done it before. So using a little Stampin' Seal to adhere that to the inside of the card, and just roughly centering it. All right, and then we're gonna take this and fold it in half, and I'm gonna actually flip it over and do a little bit of, not really heavy duty, creasing it with the bone folder, just because I'm trying not to smash the embossing on the card front. But yeah, so that's it. All right. Again, all the details for this card will be posted on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. I'll link up directly to the blog post once it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So you'll be able to see all the details then. And yeah, just let me know if you have any questions about anything. I appreciate you joining today, and hopefully you like the card, and hopefully you love this bundle. It's a lot of fun to play with, and y'all should get it. And don't forget to pick up your celebration items. Again, the Designer Series paper and the gems are both available as free items with an order of $50 or greater from Stampin' Up! During celebration. Let me know if you have questions on anything. I will plan to be live around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, and then again around 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Tuesday, here on my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will chat with you all soon.